And I want you to think about this just for a minute. I really believe, and I want to make a bold statement in the beginning, that you were born to do something great with your life and that you're not disqualified. No matter what's happened in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, or maybe it's just been average and ordinary the entire time, you are not disqualified from making your dreams, your purpose, your vision a reality in your life.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 410. Hope you're amazing as always. Life is treating you awesome. I'm going to give you a date today. I don't usually do this, but look, this year is cranking. 2023 is moving fast. It's quite mad. April the 20th. And we're actually 11:15 in the morning. Just in case you want to know, we're on a Thursday. But hope everything's good. I really do. And do you know what? I thought today's episode, I thought I'd give you a little bit of motivation. You know, we all need it sometimes. We all need a little bit of positive words. And I know with these episodes, I break down all these amazing clips. And sometimes it gets a bit sciencey, gets a bit techy, gets a bit heady. I get it. But you know what I mean? Sometimes we need that. We absolutely need that because you need to understand the levels of awareness that you need to be able to control who you are deep inside. There's so many coaches out there, right? And again, remember, I've done this for 21 years, 15 years as a performance coach. Before that, I was teaching sales all in different parts of the world. And you got to understand the difference in there's a black belt coach and there's white belt coaches and there's black belt marketers who pretend they're black belt coaches. Do you know what I mean? So so on this podcast, I just want to show you the difference. Whether you ever hire me or not, or come in actually into one of my programs like Reboots or anything like that, that's cool if you do. I'd love to help. So what's the most important thing to me on earth is you helping yourself. You becoming the ultimate entrepreneur, the ultimate version of you in life. That's what's most important for me, right? I'm not going to get to the end of my life and look back and go, oh yeah, I should have helped more people or less people. It doesn't work like that. I'm helping everyone I can, right? And back to my point with Ed Mylett, today's clip guest. That's a new term. I'm going to call that clip guest. He's a badass. He's got, I don't know, it's like 20,000 people working under him, something crazy. He's got like a $20 million house in Malibu. But besides all of that, man, he's got an amazing podcast you should definitely go and listen to. Check him out on YouTube. He's a badass. He's also just a good guy. I've never met him or yet. You know, I'm sure I will at some point. He's just a good guy. He's a heart-centered good guy who's got a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience. So a lot of stuff he does is very motivational because that's his style. It's who he is. And I love that. And we all need a bit of that sometimes. You know what I mean? Because as I say, I can get very technical. I can get very heady. And sometimes we need simplicity. And the ultimate thing is business and life. It is pretty damn simple. We just overcomplicate it, whether it's outdated genetics, outdated neurology, or brain software, whatever, man. It's we can way overcomplicate it. So I just wanted to keep this episode nice and simple today. And hey, Ed's gonna drop some wisdom bombs, and I'm gonna link them back to how to help you with them even more. And that's what we do. And speaking of what we do, I don't always say this, but hey, I probably should say it more often. If you are a new listener to Mindset by Design podcast or the Mindset by Design Peak Performance podcast, then welcome. Always awesome to have a new listener. What we're here about on Mindset by Design is about building new behaviors. new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting using different modalities. We use NLP, which I'm a world-class expert at. We use concepts of neuroscience. We use behavioral psychology. We use persuasion and influence. We use consciousness in the universe. We use anything that's going to get you to where you want to go. That's plain and simple. I've done this for 21 years all over the world, and I've worked with some of the best people in the world. You can check andymurphy.online out and take a little look at me. But really, I started the podcast close to 8 years ago. What we do, we've done over 2.5 million downloads. We've had world-class guests on, from everyone from Dennis McKenna, the godfather of psychedelics, all the way to UFC announcer Bruce Buffer, all the way to digital superstars like Ben Greenfield, who's multiple-time Joe Rogan guest, etc., etc. It's loads of different people, and it's all to give you an insight of what you need to hear that day to get you through the day or to help you in your life. And that's all I'm here for. It's just to help, you know? And speaking of helping, I want you to help yourself. I really do. And I'm going to help you 3 different ways today. First of all, number 1, make sure that you are getting your nootropics dialed in. What's a nootropic? You all should know what nootropics are by now. They fire up your neurotransmitters, they control your brain chemicals, and I'm going to give you something from the best company who builds nootropics on the planet, Nootropia. My friend Matt Gallant, who's also been on the podcast, it's his company. They're in the Inc. 500 for one of the fastest growing companies in the US. The supplements are the best on the planet. I use them every single week, and I want you to do the same. So hit the show description, click on Nootropia link and Nootropics, and go and take a look. I know you're going to love them. Number two, I want you to give yourself a gift. Give yourself access to the world's premier system and course to build yourself into the ultimate entrepreneur. It's called the 8-Figure Thinker Mental Academy. So go and take a look. It's 8 levels of absolute in-depth. It's probably close to like 40 hours of content, and it's something that you'll want to take with you for the rest of your life and your career. It is going to train you to be the ultimate badass entrepreneur like there is no other system out there. So please go and take a look. Show description. I got told off the other week because people were looking for the show notes, and there isn't any show notes yet, but we are making some. And number 3 is very special. This is very special. It's brand new. I've been dropping a few little hints. We haven't even got the page up yet. That's how new this is. But I'm still accepting the right people. So listen, if you personally are an entrepreneur or a sales pro, if you are running a SaaS or e-commerce business, or even a high-level coach, right? And you have found that you are hitting thresholds, you are tapped out, you just got in your own head and you've dipped in that performance, then I've got something for you. At times, every level, no matter who I've worked with, we all need a reboot, a psychological reboot to hit that next level, to get that fire back, to get motivated, but more importantly, to expand to 7+ figures. We all need that, no matter what, at any level, right? So what I've created is the world's first unbelievable system to reboot your nervous system, your brain, to fire up that fire again and close deals, create business, and scale. That's what I do, and I want to do this for you too. So it's called Reboot. So what I want you to do is either head over to andymurphy.online and go to coaching. Click on that and there'll be an application form to fill in. Or you can come and hang out with me on social media, or you can email me. That's in the show description too. Andy@andymurphy.online. Andy@andymurphy.online. And I want to take you to a whole new level. I've been working this system over the past six months, actually. I've just created with my client. He's done the work. but another $2 million inside of his business. I worked with someone else who rebooted them recently, and they closed the next 5 deals, giving them 50 grand. The group's coming soon. I'm working with people one-on-one right now to test this beta system, and I want to help you. So if you resonate with that, let's go. Let's do this. And yeah, you know where to find me. So hit those show description up or head over to andymurphy.online. And always find me on social. Come and hang out with me on Facebook. So right now, let's go and hang out with Mr. Ed Mylett.
Every time I grow and change, I now can help that person I used to be. If you were once broke and now have figured out how to make money, you can help broke people. If you were once insecure and shy, and maybe you are right now, and lack self-confidence or lack direction, and then now you find it and discover it, you can help all those people in the world who currently lack purpose, lack confidence, lack inspiration. We are most qualified in our life to help the person or people we used to be, and never underestimate the ripple effect. I honestly believe that if this one message reached millions of people, we would have a different world. We'd be a little bit less judgmental. We'd give each other a little bit more grace. We'd have way more people pursuing their potential and their dreams. Your decisions shape your destiny, everybody. And the minute you decide that you're qualified, your life changes. And hopefully you decide to share this with somebody as well.
Let me jump in there, crew. Let me jump in. I told you this was going to be a pump-up motivational one. And you know what? It's not all about me, it's about you. But I've got to tell a little bit of stories, right? Because not everyone has heard all the stories that I've got. I started Mindset by Design because I'd been through a lot of shit. Plain and simple. And this is why I love what Ed's saying. And this is what actually led me into performance-based. I could have earned tens of millions of dollars more if I was stuck to sales. I was an incredible high-level salesperson, right? And I recently, like over the last couple of years, I've trained $30 million sales teams in peak performance. And that's the difference now. I went from in New Zealand and Australia being one of the top investment real estate salespeople in both countries. I went from 27 developing a $100 million resort, in Fiji, which ended up going through bankruptcy and a nervous breakdown because my business partner stole all my money. I got a story, right? I got a story, and but that pain is why I do what I do. It's also the reason I left the UK and Liverpool when I was 24 and I headed over to Australia and Sydney, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job, but that's where I found NLP. And it was because of the pain that I'd been through growing up, because I come from an insane, wild, crazy, violent world growing up. And that's what took me into martial arts for sure, and I trained at a high level. But what that pain took me it took me to the other side of the world. And I went through that roller coaster of highs and lows, but that's what moved me from complete sales, which is ego, to helping people from my heart, right? So I used all the science, I used everything that I knew. I used to train sales departments, I used to set companies up, I used to do all of that back in the day. And that pain took me to LA, and that's where I started working with people. And this is where entrepreneurs, world champion athletes, Hollywood people, all of that, right, in royalty. And that took me there, and I have been obsessed since, making sure that people don't go through the same pain that I've been through, because you don't have to. And why I started this podcast was for the same reason. I wanted to give a community. I was traveling around the world, I was just before I started the Mindset by Design podcast, I was actually living between San Diego and Bali. And I wanted to create a community for people because sometimes I felt alone. Do you know what I mean? You're traveling to all these glamorous places. You're living in all these amazing countries. But still, as a solopreneur, I felt alone. And I wanted to give a community to the world. And this is why I started the podcast. Plain and simple why I started the podcast. And so when we can turn that mess into a message, when we can turn that pain into performance, then everything changes. And I want to make sure that you're doing what you're doing for the right reason. I want to make sure, and I don't mean just giving it away, I've just got a, starving artist. I don't mean that. I just want to make sure that your focus is on helping as much as it is on money and getting. Because the world, it's infinite with money, right? You can't ever win at the money game, right? No matter how rich you think you are, if you've got $5 billion, you go to Monaco, then you're poor. Do you know what I mean? Because someone will pull up in a boat that's worth $1 billion. And so you can't ever play the money game. But what you can play is becoming the ultimate you game. Right? And that world starts inside out. That you have to understand and become aware of your patterns of behavior, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act. You have to understand what is triggering you from the past memories, from future memories, from external environments, from people, places, things. You have to become so aware, and then you have to become a visual master. Because the unconscious mind, which is your software that plays in your background of your mind, which is automatic, well, what that does is that makes you behave and think in a certain way. And if we don't understand that, we get outdated software, we get outdated visions, we get outdated programs, we get outdated focuses, then what happens is we're constantly living in the past. And when we can understand that we can evolve ourselves and your life moves in chapters, then we have to understand that what got you here will not get you there. It just doesn't work like that, man. It just doesn't work like that. And so if you want to evolve yourself, if you want a new life or a new stage in your life, or to hit a new goal or a new vision or whatever the hell you want to do, man, you can't be who you were. It just doesn't work like that, right? It's like watching a movie that you've seen 100 times before and expecting a different ending to it. It's not going to happen. And so what I'm trying to give over to you here is that the version of me in Liverpool was not the version of me in Australia. It was not the version of me in New Zealand. The New Zealand version was not the version in California. The California version is not the me who's hanging out in Florida and Latin America and traveling to the UK. That's not the same version of me. It's an upgraded, more evolved, more conscious, more aware. And that's who you've got to become. And this should be a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week journey for you of growth. And when you're on that path, the external world will change because it is simply a reflection of who we are inside. And when we understand that, when we truly get that, your life will become a dream.
Most times in life, we do everything we can to disqualify ourselves from our dreams and our potential. And I want you to think about this just for a minute. I really believe, and I want to make a bold statement in the beginning, that you were born to do something great with your life and that you're not disqualified. No matter what's happened in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, or maybe it's just been average and ordinary the entire time, you are not disqualified from making your dreams, your purpose, your vision a reality in your life. But what we do often, and I've done it many times, is I think my past disqualifies me or some mistake I've made. So we hold ourselves, it's almost like a weapon we use against ourselves, is we hold our past mistakes, our past failures, our past setback, our past average performance and behavior as if it's a predictor of what our future is. We think we're disqualified. So I'm here to tell you that the things that are the biggest setbacks of your life, the things you might be most ashamed of, the biggest disappointments, the biggest what you might call failures, where people have hurt you, or maybe you even hurt others, sins you've had, mistakes. I've had a divorce, so I'm disqualified from winning. Not true. Or I've had this setback. No, you're not disqualified. Well, I've had a bankruptcy, or I had a business failure, or I've just always been invisible and average, so I'm disqualified from ever doing something great in my life. And nothing could be further from the truth. It's the great lie of life. The great lie of our lives is we begin to stack things that didn't work out as evidence that we can't win in the future, as evidence it's not going to work. We actually also literally think it disqualifies us somehow from winning. And I'm here to tell you that is a great lie that millions of people around the world are telling themselves. And what if I was to tell you that I think those same divorces, setbacks, failures, sins, mistakes, the average performance of your past are the very things that do qualify you to change other people's lives and fulfill your destiny. That's what I actually believe. See, in life, if you really want to impress people, show them how perfect you are. Show them your best Instagram photo, your biggest achievement, the best things you've done in your life, how happy and smart and amazing you are. You really impress people. And you'll connect with nobody. And you will change nobody's life. But on the other hand, if your ambition is to change other people's lives, is to make a difference with your own life, to make an impact on people's lives, then show them your imperfections. If you show them your imperfections, you will connect with them.
And you know what, crew? That takes bravery. That takes bravery. It takes bravery to put yourself out there on social media. It takes bravery to create videos on YouTube. It takes bravery to tell other people that you've got an idea, a plan, a concept, and then go and do it. Most people hold a vision of what they want to achieve in a fantasy life. And instead of turning that fantasy into a reality, what they do is they keep it a fantasy. It's a dream that they can always go and think about, talk about, fantasize about. And that then feels safe. It's an escapism. But it is an escapism. It's actually a self-sabotage pattern that we can eliminate. But that dream, why would you want to just keep it a fantasy? Because somebody else might say, oh, you can't do that. Or you might get judged. Or you might judge yourself, or you've made a mistake in the past. And that past then, because how the neurology, your brain software works, it works just like a muscle, right? So if we keep focusing on what we don't want, that those synapse connections and that muscle grows bigger, thicker, stronger, which means then that becomes our dominant thought process. But if we understand that we can interrupt and break that pattern, we can then rewrite or change the structure of our brain, or we can rewrite and change how we think about ourselves, that memory from the past, and redesign the future thoughts. And then as we pump that muscle, again, our beliefs will adjust. Our language to ourselves and other people will adjust. Everything will adjust and start to change our focus. And when our focus changes, we start to get excited. And when we start to get excited, guess what else changes? Our motivation and the way we take action, the way we create results. And again, like Ed says, I got to get on stage with this dude, man. That's going to be a mission of mine. Like he says, where the fuck is your focus, man? If your focus is on just getting that Lambo, and that is what you define as success, you miss the point of life. The Lambo, hey, get what you want, man. Shiny stuff's cool. But it doesn't mean it's success. It means you spent money. That doesn't mean success. It just means you spent money, right? And that should be a reward for the success that you've created. Right? And it's like, you know what I mean? There's a lady, is an Indian guru, spiritual teacher, whatever you want. I know guru is such a bad word these days, but I followed it for years and years and years. Probably 12 years, and completely changed my life. Her name is Amma. I've been in many live events in several different countries. And again, I'm not going to go into it, but she's like a billionaire. You know, all her events are free. She gave more money to the tsunamis and everything that happened in India and helped more people than the government did. And she doesn't have a dollar, but she has her companies, has who knows how much, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars. Yet see, she does everything by donation. She does everything free. She's there. Her number one focus is to serve and support and help, right? And so when you're around those type of conscious beings, that level of vibration, it makes you realize how simple life really is. And we have all been tricked. We've all been tricked. We've all been tricked by society, defining for us what success and happiness is. Success and happiness is what you want it to be. You might be, everyone talks about $1 billion or $100 million, or you've got to earn $1 million a year to be successful. As a baseline, $1 million. Oh, you're not successful, you're not doing 100 grand a month. That's such shit. It's such BS. Success is what it means to you. You might just want to be a stay-at-home mom or dad and raise the most amazing kids. And that's success. You're happy, right? Or you might want to go and change the world. And you do. That's success. You're happy. But you must be fulfilled. It must light you up, whatever you do. Otherwise, what the hell is the point in creating a business that just drives you crazy and creates stress each day? What's the point in living a life like that because someone else told you to? Does that make sense? Stupid, right? So check in.
Let me give you the best example in the world. Someone said this on my show many times. I've said it before. You are most qualified to help the person or people you used to be. Say that to you again. You are most qualified in your life to help the person or people you used to be. Rory Vaden said that on my show. I've said that back since 1997, a version of that. I just didn't know how true it was until recently. So as you all know, I wrote the #1 best-selling nonfiction book in the world this year called The Power of One More. If you haven't got that book, I would recommend you go get that book. I believe it'll change your life. But after I wrote that book and it became a bestseller, I woke up one night, and the book is really about the lessons I learned from my dad. As many of you know, but some may not, my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict for the first 15 years of my life. And then he got sober when I was 15, and he made one decision to do that and stayed sober one day at a time for the rest of his life. And I'm in the personal development, the change your life space because I believe human beings can change. In fact, I don't believe it. I know it. And the reason that I know it is because my own hero did it. I watched my dad live a particular way that wasn't great the first 15 years of my life. And then the next 35 years of my life, I watched him live as a completely different man. A magnificent life, a giving life, a kind life, a beautiful life, a heavenly life. So I know humans can change because I watched my hero do it. But what's most amazing about my dad's sobriety is I woke up one night many months ago crying in my sleep. And I woke up and I said to my wife, she goes, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, you're not going to believe this, but I just realized something. Someone helped Daddy. Someone helped my dad." She goes, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, when Dad got sober, someone helped my dad change his life. Some precious human being stepped forward and said, 'I can help you.'" See, we're born in our life to do great things in our life, big and small, but we don't know when we're doing them, whether they're big or small. We don't know the ripple effects. And I said, someone helped my father in the worst moment of his life. My dad was either going to take his own life or lose his family. And in that terrible moment, I don't even know where it was. Was it a bar somewhere, an alley? I don't know who they are or where it happened. But what I know is some human being changed my dad's life, which then changed my life, and I've changed millions of people's lives. This precious human being has no idea that that one act, that one generosity, that one helping one person has impacted millions of people because they helped my father in that alley or that bar somewhere. Is that not remarkable? That one act, the ripple effect, has affected millions of people's lives. And that's not the most remarkable part of it, even though that's crazy to think that as a human, you have that power. You help one person. The ripple effects are unknown. That's not the most amazing part. The most amazing part is what was it that qualified that precious human to help my father? What were their qualifications? The very things that most people would think disqualified them. The things that that person was most ashamed of, their biggest failures, their biggest sins. You know what qualified that person to help my dad? They were also an alcoholic at one time. They were also a drug addict at one time. They also lied and cheated and stole money and lived in the shadows. The things that person would think, my gosh, my alcoholism, my drug addiction, my lying, my theft, my shadowy life, all those things, the worst things about me. I'm totally disqualified from having a great life, from living a dream, from helping other people. If anyone's disqualified, it's me. Wrong. Actually, those were the very things God was using, the universe was using to qualify that person to meet the moment, to help my dad when he was going to take his life or lose his family. I want you to understand and think about the power of that. The very thing that human being probably walked around most of their life thinking, now that's the weapon I use against me, why I can't win, why I can't be happy, why I can't help people, why I can't change. Other people could win, just not someone like me. Not someone where I come from, not with my family, not with my background, not with my mistakes, not with the fact that I've always been average and ordinary, not the fact that I'm invisible. No. Sorry. Guess what? Those very things that you use as a weapon against you that you think disqualify you are the very things that do qualify you. That person didn't know all those years they were using drugs and suffering. All those years they were drinking alcohol and making mistakes and hurting other people and probably lying and probably stealing and probably living in the shadows. Every single one of those things was preparing them for that moment to help somebody who was the person they used to be.
Whoa. Do you feel that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I let that play for a while. I was going to jump in. But hey, Ed was doing Ed things, right? And that pain into performance. That mess into message. Do you get that? So it doesn't really matter what you're going through now. I remember going through a nervous breakdown when I was, as I say before, when I was putting that project together when I lived in New Zealand in the Fiji project. And I remember I was at a near point of death. And I mean that, like, it was, those thoughts were every day at some point, because I got in such debt, everything had crumbled around me, I'd lost my partner, I'd lost my investment real estate, I'd lost my car. I moved into an MMA gym. I was training and living basically in a house, which was an MMA house. And I look back, and even in those moments, the darkest moments where your focus is on ending things, and there was a little glimmer of a light, a little moment, that voice that kicks in and just shows you a different way, a different perspective. And I knew at that point that it was like I was going through a boot camp, a journey, a fast journey of intensity to get me ready to then go and help thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And that's what I've done. I didn't know I was going to go to LA. I didn't even know I was coming to America. I had no idea. No idea. I had no thoughts in my head in my entire life about coming or living in America. Seriously. Or staying in America. No idea. Not even one thought. But there's a whole story behind how I got here. And it just makes me look back on, all the things that I've been through. And I'm sure you can relate to a lot of what he said in some way or another, right? And it makes you like battle ready. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean you're fighting, but battle ready. Those wounds turn to scars, and the scars turn to wisdom. Do you know what I mean? The wounds turn to scars, and the scars turn to wisdom. And when we can understand that, and if you understand that, maybe that every step that you're taking was absolutely synchronistically timed for you to take. Maybe that you decided on this journey before you appeared on earth. Maybe, right? None of us truly know. But what if you were? What if you did? And the choices that you make along the way take you into a different dimension, a different journey. But ultimately, that little voice inside of us in those darkest moments that tell us to keep going, maybe those moments, that voice is the voice that keeps you on path. The voice that is your higher self. The voice that tells you to win. That there's more. And it doesn't mean more as in external validation things. It doesn't mean that, although it can mean that. What it means is that you making the right decision at that moment. And everything that you're going through now, it doesn't matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter whether it's an e-commerce, whether it's a SaaS business, whether you're a coach, whether you're none of those things, right? And you're just you, right? Sitting here right now, right? And you're thinking about doing business, or you're not even doing business at all. Well, the thing is, we've all had our experiences. So what's the ripple that you're creating with it? What's the impact you're creating with it? Who can you help and serve, and what can you do that actually creates some legacy in the world and not just takes from it, right? What can you do? Think about that now.
My dad. You are most qualified to help the person you used to be in your life. I'm a living proof of it. By the way, so are you. As you're listening to this or you're watching this, you are part of the ripple effect of that one act, that human being who helped my dad, who helped me, who's now helping you. What I hope you do today is, by the way, you share this episode with somebody so that ripple continues. I want the world to understand one thing. You are not disqualified for making your dreams come true. I don't care. Some people think, well, that's what I look like. It's where I come from. It's the mistake I made. It's none of that crap. Those are the very things that are qualifying you right now, because you are most qualified to help the person you used to be. And by the way, that's why growing matters, because every time you grow into a new version of you, you are most qualified to help the people who you used to be. And then you grow up. People go, why do you still grow and read and expand? Because I know every time I grow and change, I now can help that person I used to be. Those people that I used to be. If you were once broke and now have figured out how to make money, you can help broke people. If you were once overweight and now are fit, you can help all those people. If you were once broke in and now are a little bit less broken, you can help broken people. If you were once invisible and average and ordinary and in despair, you can help people who feel average and ordinary and invisible and in despair. If you were once insecure and shy, and maybe you are right now, and lack self-confidence or lack direction or lack purpose, and then now you find it and discover it, you can help all those people in the world who currently lack purpose, lack confidence, lack inspiration. We are most qualified in our life to help the person or people we used to be, and never underestimate the ripple effect of you just saying, hey, I'm imperfect too, but this is what I've learned, and I'm here for you, and I love you, and I believe in you. I honestly believe that if this one message reached millions of people, we would have a different world. We'd be a little bit less judgmental. We'd give each other a little bit more grace. We'd have way more people pursuing their potential and their dreams. See, I have an addiction. I have a lot of them, but my main addiction is I'm addicted to the expansion of my being. I'm curious and fascinated by what my capacity can be to do different things in my life, and that constant pursuit of potential, that constant pursuit of growth, that lack of judging myself, that lack of assessment of negative thoughts about myself, and giving myself grace of knowing, yeah, I just made a mistake, but guess what? I've learned from that mistake. I've grown from it, and now I'm qualified to help the people who may make those same mistakes. The reason I do this show is because I just have a lot of experience with failure. I have a lot of experience with setbacks and frustrations. I know what it's like to live scared. I know what it's like to live with negative emotions. I know what it's like to live afraid, to live angry, to be depressed. I know what it's like to be broken. I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like to not have electricity in my house. I know what it's like to not have running water. I know what it's like to beg for money at a gas station so that I could get to my house, now that I think about it. I know what it's like. And you know what? That's what qualifies me to help people. See, it takes leaders with vision to help people with dreams. Not perfect people. None of us are perfect. I get emotional when I share this with you. Not for me, but for you. I want you to make your life something awesome. I want you to change other people's lives. And I know most of the time you feel disqualified to do it. And I hope today maybe you get a little bit of a glimpse of exactly how qualified you are.
So, to wrap this up, crew, no matter where you are, I want you to listen to what I'm about to say. Very, very carefully. Very carefully. Because I was sitting there and my car was being taken away, my 5 Series BMW back in New Zealand all that time ago, and I thought that was very important. And I realized it wasn't, but that was after. But as I was seeing that taken away, a little voice kicked in my head and said to me, okay, Andy, what do you really want to experience? Remember, this is just where you are. It's not who you are. And I want you to remember that now. It's where you are. It's not who you are. So if you're in the best situation, amazing, amazing. If you're in the worst situation, amazing, amazing. Because it's all just part of the story. We have a hero's journey. It's part of your life. It will become a memory from the past. The decisions we make next are going to create our future. So make sure it's the one that you want. Okay, crew, there we go. The end of episode 410. Hope you got motivated. Hopefully that helped you. Only you know. Hopefully you're sharing this with somebody. Hopefully you're re-listening to this. Hopefully you're connecting with me somehow. Best place is definitely social media. Facebook is where I'm spending most of my time these days. So come and find me on there. Links in the show descriptions. Make sure you're helping yourself out. Head over to andymurphy.online and connect with me. And if you're ready to reboot, no matter what level you're at, you're ready to fully expand, then connect with me about that. Remember, Andy at andymurphy.online, or you can go to andymurphy.online and you can go to coaching. Fill the application form in and we're just going to have a chat. And there's many different options for you, and I just want the right fit for you, and I want to help you. So go and do that now. Until the next time, keep kicking ass. Much, much love. And one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.